You're watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
Breaking news, at least one person is dead following a crash near the 94 westbound and 15 connector. It happened just after 3:30 this morning. This is brand new video just into our newsroom.
For unknown reasons, the driver lost control of the car at the overcrossing there and landed in that vegetation along the right shoulder of the 94. Sadly, the driver died there at the scene. Right now, traffic is not impacted. Thanks for being here at 6 a.m. on this Thursday, everyone. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Chris Groh. We know that the weather has been front and center here this week as we have been seeing cold, wind, some rain even, Evan.
Slick roads I even saw in some parts of town here this morning.
Yeah, this morning and through this afternoon, we'll still have some remaining showers on hand, and then we'll be dry by the time we get to about the evening stretch. Not going to guarantee evening because there are still a few showers that could linger into overnight hours across the mountains primarily, but take a look at what we're expecting for the day. Right now, we have some light showers right along the coastline. This is likely the last bout of wet weather for coastal communities, and then by midday, we'll be back to dry skies. By the afternoon, showers will linger inland. There's a chance for a few p.m. mountain thunderstorms in the mix, and then we'll be back to those drier skies. Here's satellite radar right now, like I mentioned, that little area of green and yellow arriving right along the 5 freeway. But coming up, we'll be talking about the dry weekend that is ahead with much, much drier skies and clearer conditions expected throughout it. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Evan. New this morning, a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars now in effect.
And this morning, car dealerships are bracing for the impact as these tariffs threaten to hike car prices. CBS 8's Regina Yarita live in Kearney Mesa with reaction, as well as how much more people can expect to pay for a car. Regina.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, Eric and Chris. Well, we know that consumers and dealerships are already bracing for what could potentially happen. Now, these auto tariffs went into effect at midnight, just hours after President Donald Trump made the announcement. But the Trump administration placed tariffs of 25% on all cars shipped to America from other countries. The president says these tariffs are to push auto producers to move more of their production to the U.S. But automotive experts argue that's a risky move, adding that even if it were possible for companies to move all production to the U.S., it would end up costing a lot more to manufacture. Now, even though there is a lot of auto production that takes place in the U.S., there is no car that's 100% American-made, given how many parts are shipped in from abroad. According to S&P Global Mobility, recent data shows Mexico is the largest source of these imports, sending 2.5 million cars to U.S. dealerships, with Canada shipping a close second, and an additional 3.7 million comes from other countries. Prices are already near record levels, with a new car costing nearly $50,000 on average, and that is likely to go higher in the coming weeks and months. Critics say the price hike is pushing many buyers to rethink their options, and some could be opting for used cars. So here's how dealerships are preparing.
Industry is predicting that new car prices will go up anywhere between $5,000 and $15,000 per vehicle, and 20+% tariffs. I don't think consumers can bear all that burden.
And since many consumers could be opting for used cars, economists also say the increase in demand the demand could increase because of this, but we'll have more on that in the next 30 minutes. For now, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Regina. New tariffs won't just make new cars more expensive. They're also going to drive up the cost of owning a car. Tariffs on automotive parts imported to the U.S. begin May 3rd, so that means more expensive repairs and, in turn, higher premiums for car insurance. The Insurance Information Institute had already forecast premium increases this year of about 7%, and that's before new tariffs. Now, insurance companies say the impact from tariffs will be felt in about 12 to 18 months. And this all comes as President Donald Trump unveils historic new tariffs. They include a 10% tax on nearly all goods brought into the U.S. starting April 5th. On April 9th, there will be additional reciprocal tariffs on more than 60 countries that President Trump dubbed the worst offenders.
That includes 34% on China, 20% for the European Union. President Trump says the U.S. trade deficit is a national emergency and says his plan will boost the economy and bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. But economists say the move will likely drive up prices on imported goods like electronics, cars, wine, and clothing. Amy Kiley has more on how it could impact you.
President Donald Trump is imposing a 10% tariff on imports from all countries, plus higher rates for Cambodia, Vietnam, China, the European Union, and more. Here are 5 ways experts say Americans might feel the impact. 1, higher prices.
It's thousands of dollars. We're talking at least 2% of the median household income that this will cost American households.
Most economists predict U.S. businesses that pay the tariffs will pass on some or all of the costs to consumers. The Trump administration downplays that.
The businesses don't have to pass them on, or the producers in the other countries can eat the tariffs.
2, an economic slowdown.
What you're seeing here is a potential haircut to GDP for 2025 of about 3%.
J.P. Morgan predicts a global recession if Trump maintains his tariffs. Economists say a 1930 trade war deepened the Great Depression.
We know what happened in 1929, 1930 in the crash.
Trump supporters note other countries don't have to retaliate.
They're going to bring their tariffs down because they need the U.S. to be active trading partners.
3, blows to retirement funds if the stock market doesn't fully rebound. 4, high interest rates if the Federal Reserve sees too much inflation. And 5, growth for some domestic manufacturers. Economists say they're the biggest winners under Trump's tariffs.
We have to save the people in the industries of the United States.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
And this morning, countries around the world are threatening to retaliate after President Trump laid out the long-awaited tariffs. They are calling on the U.S. to reconsider.
Preparing for further countermeasures to protect our interests and our businesses if negotiations fail.
The EU and China vowed to respond but did not provide details. Goods coming from Mexico and Canada that comply with a trade agreement signed under President Trump's first term will be exempt from the baseline 10% tariffs. However, that exemption does not cover today's new auto tariffs or the recent steel and aluminum tariffs. And Mexico and Canada still face previously announced 25% tariffs linked to fighting the flow of undocumented immigrants and illegal drugs. The pause on those tariffs ended yesterday. The tariff loophole used by online retailers like Temu and Shein is ending on May 2nd. The president just signed an executive order closing the so-called de minimis exemption, which allows smaller shipments worth under $800 to be sent from China and Hong Kong duty-free. The loophole allowed Temu and Shein to offer big discounts.
Local economists are concerned about how the tariffs will hurt San Diego's economy specifically. USD economics professor Alan Jin says it won't just be the price of cars that go up. Avocados, strawberries, tequila, and Mexican beer are going to be more expensive as well. As prices go up, Jin says certain San Diego industries may be hit hard.
For example, if you have to pay more for imported products, you might not be able to go out to eat as much, which could affect the restaurant industry. You may not be able to travel as much, which could impact our hospitality industry here in San Diego.
We'll have a closer look at the impacts coming up here in 30 minutes. And you can watch President Trump's full remarks on our streaming channel, CBS 8 Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. By the way, Ford just announced it will offer employee pricing for all U.S. customers from now until June 2nd amid these tariffs.
All right, taking a peek outside here on this Thursday. Is this the last day we can expect kind of up and down weather?
Yeah, this is the final day of it. And then tomorrow through the weekend, and not even just through the weekend, but through almost the entirety of next week, we should be back to dry skies. So sunshine back in the forecast coming quickly. We've had sunshine the last several days. It's just been sunshine accompanied by many passing clouds. And in some cases, those clouds have provided some wet weather. For example, over the last hour, downtown San Diego, the greater city of San Diego, has encountered quite a few of those showers on hand, about 50% chance remaining for the rest of the day that we'll see a few more. Out along the coast, that's where that chance lies. But by the afternoon, we should see that chance along the coast dwindle. And then getting into tomorrow all the way through next week, we are back to those mainly dry skies. So let's talk about forecast estimates throughout the day. You see how now through about 8 p.m. seems quite active. So now through just around sunset and right beyond it. And then we're back to those dry skies before we head into a dry Friday as well. So here's a live look outside from Mount Soledad. A little bit of fog in some cases, but otherwise we're just looking at that mix of sun and clouds. I say sun hesitantly because it hasn't really come up yet, but we have some twilight coming on through. Scattered showers continue today. Temperatures remain cooler than normal for now, and then they climb day over day as drier and warmer conditions arrive for the weekend and beyond. As far as what it's like walking out the door right now, it's a bit chilly. So that break in the clouds and the many breaks that we see out there are allowing for some cooler air to move in. You can absolutely see that across our mountains, where anything that's arriving in terms of precipitation is coming in the form of snow for Palomar Mountain and Mount Laguna. 27 degrees right now. Out along the coast, however, mostly in the 40s. Still a cold start to the day out there before temperatures warm to the upper 50s, sticking to about 10 degrees cooler than normal for this afternoon. Let's check in on your road conditions. Right now, we're seeing that our road weather index is indicating there are plenty of crashes that have popped up recently. First thing that I want to take you to is a crash that has been cleared and one that is still active. The one that's been cleared is off toward the top. That's the number 1 lane that was blocked on the 805 southbound at the 5. That's now been cleared. What we still have is the right-hand shoulder blocked on the 805 southbound at Sorrento Valley Road. You see that traffic in both the northbound and southbound lanes of the 805. Also want to take you slightly farther east to about the Poway, Rancho Bernardo area. We've got the number 2 and number 3 lane blocked with a crash on the 15 southbound at Rancho Penasquitos Boulevard. You can see the steady delays that are building. Stop and go traffic now all the way across the lanes of the southbound 15, and that's because this was a 4-vehicle crash that they're working to clear in both the number 2 and number 3 lanes. Could cause some delays throughout the rest of the morning, so just be prepared if that's part of your morning commute. As far as your drive times go across the border, it's a 100-minute wait at the San Ysidro Port of Entry, a 90-minute wait this morning at the Otay Mesa Port of Entry.